Hey everyone, I've been having a bit of a craving for Dark Souls 2 recently, and I thought I would look into the Dark Souls 2 enemy and item randomizer mods again. Those mods exist for Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, and they're very, very solid, great fun, pretty easy to use. But Dark Souls 2 is built in a different engine than those games, and so there does exist a Dark Souls 2 enemy randomizer mod, but it's a little bit janky, and I remember the very first time I tried to play with it a couple of years ago. It was just not very enjoyable. It was nowhere near as smooth an experience as Dark Souls 1, and I just gave up on it very quickly. But I decided I would give it another shot, see how it is. The item randomizer's pretty decent, but the enemy randomizer's kind of weird. They both use Cheat Engine, which will probably put some people off, but I've used Cheat Engine before, I know how to do it. And it actually turned out to be pretty decent. Obviously not quite as good as Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 randomizers, but pretty fun nonetheless. I played through, did a full playthrough, killed most bosses on it, and then decided I would do a whole other second one and record the entire playthrough. And that's what this video is. It is a very, very edited down full playthrough of Dark Souls 2 enemy and item randomizer. Please enjoy. So it turns out that Dark Souls 2 randomizer is actually pretty good, and to start this video off, I'm going to show how you install the randomizer. So first thing you do is you copy all the files from the enemy randomizer, put them into your game folder in the Dark Souls 2 folder, and then you run the randomizer.bat. This will take a long time, I think about 5 to 10 minutes, something like that, and eventually it'll just, the command prompt will just disappear. And then you're good. Your enemies are ready to be randomized. So we'll see how that works in a moment, but on the main menu, you're going to want to do the item randomizer. So you just bring up the item randomizer cheat engine. You just hook it up to Dark Souls 2, as you can see here. You open up the boxes, and you can randomize loads of different settings. I randomized all of them pretty much just to make the game as challenging as possible. And what you can do is you can actually just load the last used seed and settings and then click randomize every time you restart the game. And then we're in game. And you can see with the enemy randomizer mod installed, no enemies spawn. And so that's basically what the command prompt was doing when it was unpacking the files. By default, nothing spawns in the game. So you have to again go into your game folder and run the randomizer cheat engine. And this automatically hooks up to Dark Souls 2, so you don't have to hook it up yourself. But then when you're in game, you just press the equals key. You'll hear a little beep, which means it started. And then you just have to reload the area. You can either quit out, or you can like warp to Firelink or whatever. And you can see from the very start of the game here, it's difficult. Here's attempt number 2. Some DLC enemies dead instantly. New Game Plus DLC enemies, even better. It's pretty difficult. You can see here one of the first items I got was a really important key item. Something interesting that happens with NPCs is they're all replaced by the Emerald Herald, as you can see there, even invisible ones. So the start of the game is basically just running around, grabbing as many items as possible, because you're not ready to fight pretty much anything. So getting a big soul like Throne Watcher soul here is really useful at the start because you can just spam a bunch of early levels. I decided pretty early on I wanted to do a intelligence build, just because I thought why not? This was my second attempt at doing a Dark Souls 2 randomizer. So what you're seeing here is if you don't spawn any enemies, basically if you walk into a boss room, it gives you victory achieved, but then you're just stuck in there, so you do have to reload. It's just very interesting, I thought. This fellow replaced the dragon here, so I managed to kill him off, and I think he dropped something good. Life ring +3, that's pretty good. And this was with a natural boss. We got Old Dragon Slayer. He's actually a rotten, and I do very little damage to him. Now, over on the other side, I thought Dragon Rider would be a bit more manageable, because I thought there was a chance he might fall off. Interestingly enough, we got this Giant Lord instead. And bear in mind, I'm like level 20 or something. Do very little damage with my dagger, a little bit more damage with the magic. Enough where I thought, why not? I want the early souls. I want to be able to progress through the game. So I restored all my magic and killed Giant Lord with a lot of soul arrows. I think it was worth it. 12k, and it opens up a decent amount of the game. There's a couple more pretty important keys, DLC keys right there. I like that. I like that the giant just knocks himself off somewhere down there. I think he kills himself. Unfortunately, shop inventories aren't randomized, so you still have to buy all the normal things. But NPC invasions are. So whenever you get invaded, you can get invaded by all sorts of things. I realized here that there's no fella throwing firebombs, but got very lucky that that guy had the ability to break fire barrels. Up here is the Pursuer, the first Pursuer encounter, and as you could probably guess, he just doesn't work in an enemy randomizer. I don't know where he disappears to, but he does not get randomized. Here I found the Puzzling Stone Sword, which is a weapon that I've always wanted to do a playthrough of, but it starts, or you find it in the Poison DLC, the Shulva DLC. It's a really cool sword that's part sword, part whip. So when you do a heavy attack with it, it does a nice whip attack. And I've always wanted to do a playthrough with it, and never had, but I managed to find it really early on in this randomizer, so I thought, I'm going to use this. Now, because the Pursuer didn't spawn in his initial place, he doesn't spawn in here either, so unable to kill the Pursuer at this point. Get a lot of items there, but now we're on to our first boss fight, and like the invaders, also the like NPC phantoms can be randomized. So I could have had the Emerald Herald, she would not have attacked. But I did get Ruined Athlas, who I believe only spawns normally in the DLC. Now, another interesting thing is, whenever you try and load into a boss room, you get a black screen for probably like 30 seconds. If they've got a cutscene, because I guess the game tries to load them in the cutscene, and it'll just be black for about 30 seconds, and then it'll load the cutscene, and it'll play as normal, but the boss will just be missing from the cutscene. I think there's a couple more that are a bit funnier later on. I think the Rotten cutscene's very good, so we'll see that later on. But I actually got a really good first boss here. Skeleton Lord, by itself, very easy at the point you normally fight them, but at this low level, it was actually well, it wasn't really a challenge, but it was a suitable first boss, I thought. Honestly, about as challenging as the last giant. So I thought that was a cool first boss there. Got to Lost Bastille, and got the Lion Mage Cuffs, which improve casting speed. Just love that death there. So very good if I'm doing a mage build. Something very strange bugged out here. I think this is because I just quit out. I don't really know what these guys were doing here, but they started with very low health. This guy was missing his weapon. Flexel Sentry had his weapons but wasn't attacking. But that let me head on into the boss fight. And we got a very interesting boss fight here. No cutscenes, so I'll just load right away. And we got the Lost Sinner. But you might be able to notice something about the Lost Sinner here. It took me a little while to notice. But at this point I was thinking, why is it playing so defensively? Why isn't it attacked? It's missing its weapon. It doesn't have a sword. And so it can't actually attack me. It can only dodge away. So that led to a very easy boss fight, and I killed it. Got an Estus Flask shard there. You might have noticed I don't have an Estus Flask. The Estus Flask is also randomized, and it can be anywhere. For some reason, whatever spawns in this boss room doesn't work. I think because it's Najka normally spawns underground, so anything that spawns here just doesn't work. So I just killed whatever popped up there. Also doesn't have a health bar when you're killing it. I decided to pick up a couple of spells. I thought Urine and Magic Weapon especially would be quite useful. Just get a little bit of buff on my weapon when I'm doing boss fights, and also Urine acts like Alluring Skulls. This is the big rat dog boss. It very rarely works. It randomizes the 4 things on the ground. and also the boss starts up at the top, so if it can't get down, it's just stuck up there. This is one of the hardest bosses in a randomizer, because look at this. Absolutely horrible. I thought I'd quit out and try again. What do we get this time? A little bit more manageable it looks like, but still, you'd have to get extremely lucky, because you can see all the different types of enemies that get randomized in here. So not only do you get a boss that replaces the Magus, which I got a Skeleton Lord here, that's not bad, but all the like crawling around fellas get randomized. Very, very difficult. This was the Ruin Sentinels boss fight, which replaces the Ruin Sentinels with 3 copies of the same boss. So here I got 3 Dragon Riders. Thought it might be Dragon Slayers, Ornsteins. Thought it might be okay, but they're very strong. It was not easy. And then coming back in for another attempt, I got 3 invisible bosses that didn't attack. I'm not quite sure what they were, but they take a lot of damage. It's possible they were like covetous demons because they seemed quite large. But at this point, I think like it took a lot of attempts to get there. I just took the invisible boss and got a nice onion hat. This is in the Luna Belfry where you fight the gargoyles, and you get invaded by a dark spirit. But you can see the dark spirit does not have a name, and it was in fact a little red dog thing there. And you get invaded by it every single time. It's weird. This was a pretty interesting boss fight. It was just a bunch of skeleton lords. And even though they're quite easy bosses, just 6 of them at the same time proved just a little bit too much for me. And on another attempt, we got 6 blue smelters. Wasn't doing that. Next attempt, we got 6 invisible skeleton lords. And again, they didn't attack, but they could move around. And again, at this point, I just needed to kill them to progress. So we did. But then, however, I got a little bit stuck at this point. Trying to get down to Lost Sinner was extremely difficult. So I went to get another Estus Flask shard. Still no Estus Flask. This is in Huntsman's Copse, and this bonfire is right below the bridge to Executioner's Chariot, and things just fall through the bridge as you spawn in, and sometimes you can get lucky and get lots of souls from things dropping through, so I just stayed there and refreshed over and over until I got 200,000 souls, and just did a lot of levels, just to make my character a little bit better for some of the bosses. And I was ready for Skeleton Lords, which, just like Prowling Magus, is basically... I think it's pretty much impossible unless you get really lucky in a randomizer. So that was one of the Skeleton Lords. Killed him. And then you can see that things will just start popping into existence. Those little hollow fellas aren't too bad. They do a lot of damage. But then I got Shrine of Amana enemies, Strangleite Castle enemies, DLC enemies. And it just gets impossible again. So at this point I had to unrandomize, which is a bit of a process, not as easy as Dark Souls 1 or 3. And then if you unrandomize, for some reason this boss fight also does not work. It's very weird. The Skeleton Lords don't have weapons, and the skeletons don't fight back, or anything. But yeah, for this one and Prowling Magus, you just have to unrandomize, just to be able to make some progress, basically. That is the Magus done as well. Just again, you need to get through it. This is a pretty fun area, because everything that spawns in the poison isn't immune to poison. So they can all just sit there and die, and you can get a lot of souls there. You can see there's a lot of items down there, and you have to check every single one. Because you couldn't miss out on that Fire Drake Stone, or that Mastodon Greatsword. These 3 enemies here are the 3 crystal lizards that spawn here. And for some reason, they have the exact same loot table. So whatever you kill here, whatever you get 3 copies of. And I got one of the DLC crowns as one of my copies. And those enemies respawn, so you can just kill them over and over and over if you want a certain item that they drop. So I got a nice crown. Another Estus Flask shard here. We're a decent way into the game. Still no Estus Flask. Nice soul down there. That's a very good one for more souls. Another Estus Flash Shard. There's quite a few in here. The Covetous Demon fight is also quite weird. For some reason, it just spawns with... You get the boss, and then you also get 4 enemies in the room, and I'm not really sure where they come from. I don't know if they like spawn above and just drop in or something, because obviously you don't have regular enemies in the actual boss fight. So I just got very lucky. This was the first attempt. I got lucky that the last giant was so easy to kill, because otherwise you have to reroll a lot until you can actually get through that. Very spooky boss fight. Myth is fun because you can leave the poison up and just hope that you get a boss that can die to poison. So I had a pretty epic fight with this Smelter Demon, but ultimately he did get me. I had another really epic fight with Velstadt. The poison kind of makes it a bit more of a fair fight, and I managed to outlast Velstadt there. Just using the poison pool and healing the whole time. As with most randomizers, the worst parts of the game in vanilla are the easiest parts, and Iron Keep was no exception. Really, really easy, like actually quite pleasant to go through in a randomizer. Normally here you have to kill pretty much everything to get into the boss. Here I could just sidle on up to the Smelter Demon boss room, which was a Lost Sinner again, but this time with a weapon, and I just fought her. Did some pretty good damage at this point in the game with a magic weapon and a puzzling stone sword that scales off decks. It's a good fight. Brilliant invasion right here. For some reason here, you get invaded by the Emerald Herald. And this has happened in both playthroughs I've done. So it happens there for some reason. She doesn't fight back or anything, she's just there. But she does give you an effigy if you kill her. So it's worth doing it. Normally you get like Treasure Hunter somebody or other. But yeah, Dark Spirit Emerald Herald. Here we go, here's one of the cutscenes with the invisible boss. Pretty funny. Pretty interesting boss. And it was a very thematic Aldia there, who just wasn't going to go well for me. Watch the Phantom here. Whee! Just thought that was funny. What did I ultimately get? I got Mirror Knight, who also doesn't work in a randomizer. He does his initial attack like that, and then he freezes up. No matter what, no matter where you fight him, he always does this. I don't really know why. It's very strange. But I took advantage of that. And you can see I buff up again here. Because after the 4 Great Souls, 4 Old Souls bosses, something weird happens. I think it doesn't happen after Lost Sinner. But after most of them, something weird happens. There's just a random human NPC there. And I think they spawn because Aldia can talk to you. So I think that's what this guy is. Because obviously every single NPC gets replaced with normally Emerald Herald, but certain NPCs get replaced with aggressive ones. Like another one here. I don't know why that one spawns there. Another part of the game that's a lot easier in a randomizer. You get funny things like that in the DLC because you get like +8 and +7 weapons in the DLC, and sometimes it like randomly goes onto that ring. It doesn't change anything. The run to Blue Smelter Demon, another area that's much easier in a randomizer. Apart from that, Castaway Witch Donna there, she's scary. But you don't have the magicians that slow you down and stuff. So it's a lot easier to get into this boss room. This run's pretty easy. And honestly, the boss will probably be easier than Smelter Demon. And it's another Skeleton Lord. I think that's 3rd of the playthrough. I guess 4th if you count the unrandomized ones I had to do. At this point in the game, I do a lot more damage than the first time we fought him. Beautiful. Take that, Smelter Demon. You can see I was able to do this DLC very early because I just happened to get all the key items I needed for it. I could even get all the way down to Fume Knight, and I thought I would see if it was Fume specific that let him get healed by the idols on the outside, or if whatever got randomized into here also got healed by the four idols. So I thought I'd leave them up and try fighting, as it turned out to be Nashandra here. And it turns out that it is any boss gets healed. If you watch your health bar there, it's going up. So I realized I had to get out of there and try again. So I broke all the idols, summoned Drifter Swordsman Idol, who's another DLC summon. He's very good. And this time we got Freya, who was a very easy fight because she only aggroed onto Idol for some reason. So we were able to kill Fume Knight very quickly. And normally when you kill Fume Knight, you get the first of the crowns. So if you go down here and pick up or examine the light, you get the crown. I got the leggings, but it still gives you the message about heat lingering in the ancient crown, which I thought was funny. Crystal magic weapon right there. Very good. I'm using magic weapon, as you can see. And I made my way down to Freya, which is another very tricky boss because the spiders get replaced by just a bunch of random things. And also Fume Knight, in this case. Which was hard, but not as hard as this next one here, where I got Sir Lond out of nowhere. Which is pretty funny. But you can see even getting to Freya is extremely, extremely difficult. Because you can't just pull a torch out and get past all the spiders. I think at this point I thought I would come back to that later. The Grave of Saints, again, just doesn't work in a randomizer. None of the rats spawn. And if you go into the boss room, even if you reset the area, you always get this victory achieved thing and you get stuck in the boss room. So this is just a boss that just doesn't work in a randomizer for some reason. So if you want to do it, you just have to unrandomize. I just skipped it. Down in the gutter, got another Estus Flask shard. Still no Estus Flask. I will check the time of when I do find the Estus Flask, how long I was in the game. The gutter is just as bad in a randomizer. You know, Iron Keep was better with a randomizer. The gutter's just as bad, maybe worse, because all the enemies are usually worse in here, and you've got the poison. Was this a good item? It was just a death. I just wanted that death, apparently. Here I had a lot of fun, just waiting the poison out. I used Yearn to try and get people to try and get the AI things to run into the poison statues, and it worked. I ended up killing everything here from this safe little vantage point here. Here's the rotten cutscene that's actually pretty funny. Normally he picks up bits of the statue. But obviously since he's invisible, you get some good Harry Potter invisibility cloak action here. Like that little floating head and me looking very scared. Roar. Pretty funny, that's a good cutscene. Oh, it's Sir Alon again. Great. Dead. Demon of Song, interestingly enough, if you watch carefully, you can see the water effects are actually attached to his model, not the lake that he spawns in. See him splashing me into just the rocky ground. Got another Freya, just because I think I was tired of dying. I think I died to like Demon of Song like twice trying to do this. And just like after Old Iron King, after the Rotten, you get attacked by another NPC human thing with a ton of health. Look at how much health they're taking, or how much damage they're taking in the fire. But I was able to kill them. Don't think I got any souls because they're actually a phantom normally. You summon them, so they didn't give any souls, which is great. But yeah, I think they replace Uldia. And so I think at this point I'd only done 2 of the old souls, but I had a million souls, so I was able to just head on to Drangleic Castle, get another Estus Flask shard. Great. Watch the left Ivory King here. He does a very cool roll that I didn't know he could do. But yeah, the double Dragon Rider fight is pretty hard. Randomly got 2 Rottens without arms. I thought, oh, this will be a pretty good fight. He looks pretty armless like this. Something I didn't know is when he's lost his arms, he can actually reach inside his body and grow 2 new arms. And he messed me up pretty quickly. Got Skeleton Lords again, why not? Just needed to get through it. Some NPC phantoms get replaced by this Japanese text, which reads ga arimasen, which as far as I have been able to figure out means like does not exist, something like that. So you can see it doesn't have a name there. So I think it's just like placeholder for just a missing name. So, you know, it's probably something close to like missingo, like missing name or something like that, which is interesting. At this point, changed my lookup, wanted the Hide Knight Chainmail. This Nashandra broke. Dark Souls 2 Randomizer is very buggy. She replaces the Executioner's Chariot. You can see Ga Arimasen has not followed me at all. And for some reason, this is still randomized. Just managed to get old Dragon Slayer here in the normal Ornstein boss room. I was just kind of checking off bosses I hadn't killed yet, because I think at this point I was kind of stuck. Didn't really know what to do. Here I was trying to become a Sunbro, and you can see when I try and kneel, doesn't let me kneel there, but I do actually kneel towards the guy attacking me. So I think again he's replaced the NPC that's normally the statue. Very interesting. Just like the Uldia that we saw before becomes one of those. Lost Sinner was a big old dog, which me and Aphlis killed. This time Uldia got replaced by Emerald Herald. I don't know. It's weird. Freya, we got another Skeleton Lord. Yeah, at this point I was pretty far into the game, and I was stuck. I needed a lot of key items, and I just didn't have them. So I was just kind of checking off a bunch of places I'd missed. This is fun. Uldia, you know, doesn't make any sound when he comes up, and Uldia as an NPC gets replaced by Fists of Fury Ellie there. At this point I was just looking up key items I was missing. You might have missed it. Estus Flask is in Pony Plowtown, which is pretty difficult. So at least at this point I had an idea of where to go. One of the items was No Man's Wharf, which took me a long time to find, and I eventually found it in this chest here. I can't remember which one this was. It's the Frozen Flower. So in order to get my Estus Flask, I needed to find 2 keys. One to get into the Ice DLC, and one to open the Garrison Ward. Just up here, right above the bonfire, Ashen Mist Heart. Need that. In the gutter, this is right at the top near where the Sublime Bone Dust is. I think this is King's Ring? No, this was the Garrison Ward key to finally allow me to get my Estus Flask. And so I headed to the Ice DLC, and remember that NPCs get replaced by invaders like that. I think because when you go up to the gates there, the NPC talks to you, the Queen talks to you, and also when you come in here you can see that she's talking again. And I guess normally she's like an invisible NPC, but obviously they get randomized to these Dragon Warriors. Thought I would try Invisible Ava. Did not go very well. It was quite difficult. But I knew I really had to go and get my Estus Flask, and there it was. And the time on this was just under 9.5 hours. So I played through almost 9.5 hours of this game without an Estus Flask. I got kind of used to the life gems by the end of it, but I was ready to get it because I think I had like 6 or 7 shards and like 4 Sublime Bone Dust that I wanted to use. The hitbox on that guy is pretty wonky. Was not having that. Quit out and got instantly attacked by Lycia, a couple of Lycia clones. I don't really know why they were there, but they made it very difficult to get back in fact impossible. And it was finally time to upgrade my Estus Flask. Did all my shards and my Bone Dust, and I ended up with a 6+3. Not bad. You do have to grab whatever items on there to make Ava appear visible, and we got Mirror Knight again. Still bugs out wherever it is, but I just killed it. Because I think at this point I was pretty done. I think I've been playing for over 10 hours in the save file, and I just kind of wanted to finish it up, get all the footage and get the video done. Estus Flash Shard, love it. I didn't even know these things dropped items, but they dropped one of the most important items in the game. The Giant Lord fight's very hard, because again there's lots of little NPCs in there. Or not NPCs, just regular enemies. I got lucky. Well, I got lucky. Having urine was very helpful, because I could just make them walk into the fireballs that were coming down. Otherwise, this part is almost impossible. Oh, you can actually see what boss it is at the end. It's a Najka, who just kind of floats in and out of the ground, which is interesting. Which is a very cool dodge of my Soul Geyser there. Very impressed by that. But she's quite easy. Didn't notice at the time she's missing her weapon there. She's still got her tail, but she doesn't have her little staff thing. But she is mandatory. You do have to kill her for sure. Up in Aldia's Keep, normally you get like NPC invaders coming through these mirrors. Of course, you just get Emerald Heralds popping into existence, which makes this area a little bit easier. Just thought it was funny that they just appear, and also you still get the mirror shattering effect. Now here, normally an ogre comes smashing through, and unfortunately I got a little torch hollow on the other side who doesn't have the ability to smash through that door. So I just kind of reloaded the area until I did get an enemy with like environmental destruction properties, which was this guy, and I had to make him smash through the second door as well, and then I was all set up to fight the Guardian Dragon, who turned out to be a Pursuer, who's still actually quite difficult. Now Dragon Shrine is another area that's literally impossible. I don't quite know why it works like it does in a randomizer, but you get attacked by 2 different NPC invaders. So you get like a red phantom, and then you get just like a more solid one. And I don't really know why you get 2 different ones. They're obviously replacing the Dragon Knights, or Dragon Acolytes, or whatever they're called. But yeah, it's horrible. This area, oh look at this item. Xanthus Crown +7. Normally you can't upgrade the Xanthus Crown, so that was great, so that became my new hat. And on this very precarious ledge was the key to the King's Passage, another key item you need. See, Mirror Knight gets broken even if he spawns in place of a Mirror Knight, and I don't really know why. Just something with the mod. I think that's Skeleton Lord number 6 for Demon Song there. Great boss. And I think Aldia normally talks to you here, so again he just gets replaced. And for some reason Velstad just didn't work again. This was a real victory achieved. My guess is something big like spawned outside and just dropped out of the world or something. Vendrick does get his health bonus from you not having Souls of Giants in your inventory. I think I had 3 when I did this. And even though he was just a Pursuer, he had so much health that I wasn't going to do him. Throne Duo is incredibly difficult. You have to get very lucky and get a couple of manageable bosses. I think I did first try in this one, but normally it takes a lot. I think I had to randomize like 10 times in my first playthrough before I got anything as good as this, and this was quite good. And then Nishandra also does not work. The final boss of the game does not work in a randomizer. So you could re-randomize, or you could like unrandomize, I guess. Even if you reset and come back to the boss fight, you still get the victory achieved. You get the Throne Duo spawns, pop back in. They don't do any damage or anything, you can't attack them. But yeah, just as a bit of an anticlimax, the final boss of the game does not work in a randomizer. But that is the end. That is the end of this little video. A pretty lengthy video, I guess. This video was made up of 12 hours of footage. I went through all 12 hours and cut it down to just this half hour of the best bits. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was a decent watch. That's it really. I hope it worked out. Hope you liked it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!